If they'd rather visit the dentist, then that's their decision. All right, so something that's been happening in the comments recently with like 3 or 4 different people asking me over the weekend was how do you use linking and reductions in American English? How do we get words to join together in a way that sounds natural? Let us take a closer look at this situation. Good morning, guys. Good evening. Good afternoon. Welcome to your daily American English pronunciation show. Wake up, American. We are here Monday through Friday between the hours of 7 to 8 a.m. New York to make sure that you can get in your 5 to 10 minutes of pronunciation practice for the day. And to guide you in that process, there is me. Hello, guys. My name is Geoff, or Rise of Breath. That's one of the 4 keys to a natural sound in American English, including placement, pitch, breath, trying to weaken your consonant sounds in order to strengthen your vowels. And we're going to need all of those concepts in order to achieve a more natural sound in a sentence like this. So I'm going to walk you through, I would say, like a 3 or 4 step process that you can use with any sort of sentence that can help it to sound a lot more linked and a lot more natural the next time you speak in American English. And it all starts with a concept called thought groups. Thought groups are groups of words that go together before your next group of words. And if we can find where the thought groups are, then that's going to help a lot with chunking. So in our original sentence, we have if they'd rather visit the dentist, then that's their decision. So maybe we can chunk this into 3 groups. So maybe the first one would be if they'd rather. The second thought group then being visit the dentist or dentist, then that's their decision. That's our third one. Then that's their decision. Okay. If they'd rather, first thought group, visit the dentist, second thought group, then that's their decision. Third thought group. Thought groups are really important because every thought group has one word that's primarily stressed. That's the place where the pitch is going to go up compared to what came before it. So, for instance, if they'd rather, do you see how the stress is on rather? If they'd rather, the next thought group might be on dentist. Visit the dentist. Visit the dentist. And then the last thought group, then that's their decision. Stress on there. Then that's their decision. The other reason why this is important is because when you change the thought group, you want to make some other big changes, including, for instance, pitch. So, for instance, if they'd rather, notice that's all kind of higher pitch. If they'd rather, then I drop in pitch. Visit the dentist. Then I go up again. Then that's their decision. If they'd rather visit the dentist, then that's their decision. Okay. So that's the first step. And we need this because as we add more linking, then we need to make sure we have enough contrast. Otherwise, it's going to sound like you're mumbling and no one's going to be able to understand you. The next thing we want to consider in our thought groups, we talked about the stressed words. The other thing we need to remember is that in American English, we care about vowel sounds. Consonant sounds tend to be very, very weak. So we're really going to soften them. So, for instance, in our first thought group, we have the phrase if they'd rather. And you might be like, well, if has this F sound, they'd has this TH and this D, rather has R sounds and a TH. Oh my gosh, there's so much. But the reality is we care about the vowel sounds. So just give me the vowels really quick. So it's like I for if, A for they'd, and then ar for rather. It's like a, ar. Remember that pitch pattern? We're stressing rather. So it's like ar. Can you just try to say that really quick? Ar, ar, ar. And when you're doing that, try not to stop the breath. American English likes breath flowing. It doesn't like it when breath gets chopped up. And that's why the vowel sounds are really important. Vowel sounds let you flow with breath. Consonant sounds stop your breath. So ar, and then the last step, you can add your consonants back in, but don't let them stop the breath. Try alternating like this: ar if they'd rather, ar if they'd rather, ar if they'd rather, and then see if you can say that little phrase 3 times. If they rather, if they'd rather, if they rather, okay? Versus if they'd rather. You know, we don't talk like that. If they'd rather, that's just not a very natural sounding phrase, right? It's way too chunky. If they'd rather, okay. There's some other concepts we're using. So for instance, you'll notice on they'd, I'm not saying they'd rather. I'm using what's called a held T or I'm using a held consonant or a stop consonant. So instead of saying they'd, you say they'd. So you're not fully releasing that breath on that D sound. And that's another way that you can kind of smooth things out. Notice also on rather, I'm not making heavy contact with the TH. The TH is actually a very light sound. You want minimal contact. It's like rather. It's not rather. It's more rather. If they'd rather. Okay. The next phrase, so we have visit the dentist. So our vowel sounds again. It's like and then we count the consonants back in, right? So visit the dentist, visit the dentist, visit the dentist. One thing you may notice here is that for dentist, that T after letter N goes silent. It's like dentist, center, interview. These are words where that T is not pronounced. Okay. And then our final thought group, same idea. Okay. Vowel sounds first. Air, air, then that's their decision. Okay. And then you can alternate once more. It's like air, get messy. It's okay to make mistakes. We don't need the perfect vowel sounds for this exercise. The goal is really just trying to keep the breath flowing the entire time. It's like and then that's their decision. Then that's their decision. One other little thing too that we talk about a lot is when you have an N sound that comes around a TH. A lot of times that TH is going to get really weak and sometimes even just be replaced by an N sound. So instead of saying then that, because that's kind of hard to say, you might just hear then that. It's like then that's their decision. Then that's their decision. Okay. So what do we do? Again, we found the thought groups. We found the stressed words. We practiced just doing the vowels for the thought group, and then we added the consonants in, making sure that the consonants stayed weaker than those vowels from the previous step. So for instance, if they rather visit the dentist, then that's their decision. If they'd rather visit the dentist, then that's their decision. If they'd rather visit the dentist, then that's their decision. See how the breath keeps flowing. The key to make sure that you're not sounding like you're mumbling and to make sure you have clarity is to make sure you have enough of these elements of contrast, like pitch. If they'd rather visit the dentist, then that's their decision. Because if I say, if they'd rather visit the dentist, that's really hard to understand. Okay, but if you add the pitch contrast, if they'd rather visit the dentist, then that's their decision. It adds clarity. All right, as we're going through this, if you're like, man, I need to practice my short I sounds, like the I sound, or I need to practice my TH sounds, or I need to practice my R sounds. These are hard. Something that may be helpful for you is also a resource that helps make these videos and streams possible, which is Elsa. It's an app on your phone that you can download for free with the link we have in our description and in the comments. And you can take a free pronunciation test and get access to their free premium exercises, which means that you can practice those individual sounds. That's where I think Elsa does the best. Sometimes sentence level stuff is a little bit tricky, like going linking and things like that. I don't know. Elsa might not be necessarily the best tool for that, but for specific sounds, I think can be really helpful. Check it out. You again can view the link in the comments in the description to get access to that free pronunciation test to find out what sounds you need to target and start targeting them. Let me know, guys, if this helps you out in general, all those things we discussed for linking sentences. And thank you also for just being here. There's a lot of pronunciation resources out there. I'm very much aware of that. So the fact you spent some time here with me, greatly appreciate it. I'll see you guys later. Hope you have a good day, a good night, and a good afternoon. Take care.